Welcome back to another edition of the Prospect Profile, a mini-series we do here within the Atlanta Braves franchise. We go over top prospects from AA Mississippi up to AAA Gwinnett. Last time we were in AA Mississippi for second base prospect Travis Demerit, and this time we're staying down in Mississippi to go over left-handed pitcher Luiz Gohara. Gohara is the Braves' number 10 prospect according to MLB.com. He stands 6'3", 210 pounds, even though his weight does fluctuate. We'll get into that a bit later. He is 20 years old. He was signed in 2012 out of Brazil by the Seattle Mariners, and according to MLB.com, his ETA is 2018, which I don't personally agree with. I think he's more of like a 2019, possibly even 2020 MLB ETA, because he is only a 60 overall in this game. He is a B potential though, so I mean he could rise up his overall quite fast, but right now with as a 60 overall, he's not looking like he's going to be MLB ready by 2018. And as far as his grades go, MLB.com has him as a 70 grade fastball, that is a plus, a 55 slider, which is above average, a 45 changeup, which is below average, a 45 control, which is below average, and then a 50 overall, which is an average regular, usually around a number 4 starter. Now, some of those grades I agree with. Some of those grades translate over into the game. Some of them don't. I think the biggest one that translates over to the game is the 70 grade fastball. His fastball is without a doubt his best pitch. In game, he has a 2-seamer and a 4-seamer. His 4-seamer sits anywhere from like 97 to 98, and he can just blow that by people. He is a fireballer out there on the mound. His slider's pretty good in the game, his curveball's decent, and then his changeup is ranked as a 45 grade, but in-game he has a circle change, and in-game it performs quite well. I'm not sure if it's just me being a very good changeup pitcher. I like to have guys with good changeups, so I throw a decent amount of changeups. So I don't know if that's just me in the game, or if that's actually his changeup in the game. So, in the game, I was pretty impressed with the circle change. It was getting people off balance. It was doing its job. I wasn't really finding any issue with it, although if you do look at his scouting reports, it does say you're going to think his changeup is better depending on what game you see him, because apparently some games he's just on point, and his changeup looks like he's basically CC Sabathia in his prime, or the next game it looks like he can't even pitch at the AA level with a changeup. And the Braves acquired Luiz Gohara from the Seattle Mariners in a trade in January for Mallex Smith and Shea Simmons. So Mallex Smith went to Seattle, and then in return they got Luiz Gohara, this Brazilian prospect. And that's an interesting thing that he's Brazilian, because I believe there's only 2 Brazilians in the major leagues. I'm not sure how many there are in the minor leagues. I only know there's 2 in the majors, and that's Yan Gomes, the catcher for the Indians, and Paulo Orlando, an outfielder for the Kansas City Royals. And even though MLB.com only has him graded with a fastball, a slider, and a changeup, in-game he has a lot of pitches to work with. He's got a 2-seamer, he's got a 4-seamer, he's got a curveball, he's got a circle change, and he's got a slider. So he's got a lot of things to work with, and I was impressed with pretty much all of these pitches, except for once I got later in the game, and he started to get tired, starting letting more people on base, and he wasn't really working as well. People started making solid contact. It was just being solid contact into the glove of the outfielders. It just wasn't really going too well later in the game. He did manage not to really give up any, I don't think he gave up any runs in that start, but he did allow a lot of base runners and walk a lot of people at the end because his control started getting iffy towards the later innings of his outing. So moving on to Gohara's player comparison in the major leagues, I would say it is CC Sabathia. Generally, when somebody gets compared to CC Sabathia, it's because of either 1, his size, or 2, his stuff from the left-handed side. And Gohara, I think it's both cases, because Gohara, like I mentioned earlier when I said he was 210 pounds in the game, he tends to fluctuate, apparently. He can be anywhere from low 200s. Apparently, last year he was 270 pounds at one point. So he can go up and down, apparently. So that's probably why a lot of people compare him to CC. But also because he has very good stuff on the left-handed side, where he has his fastball. I'm not talking about current CC, where he's more of a soft contact pitcher, had to reinvent himself. I'm talking about prime CC, where he had the blazing fastball. His changeup was an insanely good pitch. He had a good slider, and then Gohara is pretty much like that. He's got the good CC stuff. He's got the size. When he doesn't, right now he's at 210, but he could go back up if he, I don't know, loses control or whatever. But right now he is less of a CC size-wise, but more of a CC stuff-wise. So with that being said, that's going to wrap things up here for this edition of the Atlanta Braves Prospect Profile, going over left-handed pitcher Luiz Gohara. I've been your host, Jersey Born, and I'm saying goodbye.